Welcome to the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Show, where our mission is to inspire, impact, and influence other immigrant entrepreneurs to follow their dreams and create the future they want. My guest today is Barbara Moreira Curran. Barbara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Likewise. Barbara, I just had a quick conversation between the two of us with you off the camera.
Yeah.
And it's obviously your first guesting on a podcast.
It
And I'm
is.
really glad and really grateful that you are on this show
Thank
because I truly know your story is going to inspire so many other immigrant
Thank you
entrepreneurs.
so
So
much.
thanks for taking on the time and coming on the show. Barbara, I saw when I was doing my research, I saw that you came to the US with $300.
That is true. Yes.
Tell us about that.
So I came to United States as an au pair. An au pair is a nanny that works in a host family house. And there is a program that you go through that they help you to get a visa. They help you set up with a family. And I had all those things done, but they tell you to bring $300. So on the week off that I was supposed to come here, I didn't have $300. I had $200. So I was freaking out because the immigration, sometimes they can ask you to show the $300 and I didn't have it. So my dad, I come from a very humble beginning. I come from a very small town. And $100 in Brazil is a lot of money. You guys wouldn't believe what $100 do. Like, you're rich if you have $100. And I was just praying and I was asking God, could you please give me $100 so I can go live my American dream? And 3 days before I was supposed to come here, and I still had hope. I was delusional back then. I still had hope that $100 would show. My dad won a raffle. Okay, my dad loves games like bingo and all of those. So he won a raffle and he gave me the $100, and I was like, okay, I guess it's meant to be. So that's how I came with $300 and a big dream, and that's how I started.
When was that? What year did you come to the US?
2014, July of 2014. Yes.
And by the way, congratulations. You just became a citizen,
Oh,
US citizen last December.
Yes, it was beautiful. I cried so
Congratulations.
much.
Congratulations.
Yes, it was beautiful.
So, okay, you came to the US as an au pair, and thanks for explaining what an au pair is. It's a common thing in Europe, but I believe in America, it's not, many people don't know what it is. So thanks for explaining that. So you came here as a au pair in 2014.
Yes.
And then what happens from there?
So I came as an au pair in 2014. I moved to Sacramento, California. And my family in Sacramento, they were the most amazing family you could possibly imagine. The dad was Mexican, the mom was American. They had 3 beautiful boys. And I had the time of my life. It was beautiful, all the good stuff, until the mom, she was a nurse, she lost her job. Okay. So they couldn't afford me anymore. And I was living like the moment I was just loving America. And so when they can't afford you anymore, you go through a process called rematch. So you have to find a family within 2 weeks of the when they pretty much fire you, but it was not firing. She just couldn't afford me anymore. So I found a family in Tennessee, and I came to Tennessee in hopes that I would have a wonderful time here. And unfortunately, that was not true. My family here in Knoxville, it's not that they were bad, they were just going through some burdens. They were going through a divorce, and the dad had mental problems, and I was taking care of this adorable, the most loving autistic little boy, and it was beautiful. But the family, it was pretty much me and the dad, and he had some mental issues. He would just not feed me. He would just not pay me. And it was just so scary because I was poor in Brazil, but I was never hungry, right? I mean, my clothes are donation, but I'm here in the richest country in the world and I'm starving. So then, because of that, I did not have any food, but I had the internet. So what I did was, please, people, don't do this. Girls, let's not do this. I'm not advising anyone to do this. I went on Tinder and I was so hungry that the first man, I thought in my head, the first man who says hi to me, I'm going to go out with him. and I'm gonna have dinner, right? So the first
Right.
man who said hi to me
Wow.
was my current husband, and he took me
Mm.
out. Imagine this: I didn't speak any English. I was just miles and starvation, and he took me to this burger place, and I'm not kidding away, 2 cheeseburgers, like in front of him,
Wow.
like crazy person.
Right.
So if I'm in love, first of all, because I didn't speak any English. Secondly, because I could eat. So we've been together ever since.
Wow. Wow. What an amazing
I
story.
know. That's how we
What
met.
an amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Love it. Love it. So, and then how did you get into what you're doing today? What happened from there after
Okay,
that?
so I had just met my husband, and I was not crazy enough to marry him right then. So I rematched and I went to another family in New Jersey. Okay.
Mhm.
So this family in New Jersey, they're also crazy, unfortunately. And they didn't tell me that the girl that I was taking care of took 17 types of meditation and she suffered from a lot of mental problems. She was bipolar. She used to just have all these terrible mental issues. And one time she tried to kill me with 2 big knives. Okay, and
Wow.
she was 12. And so I got rematched again, long story short, and I came
Wow.
to North Carolina and the family in North Carolina. Meanwhile, I was still talking to my husband, and we were having conversations like, America is crazy, I'm gonna go back. And uh, we were just talking, and in North Carolina, it was 5 hours from Knoxville, and the
Mhm.
family had just a little boy, and he was adorable. But the mom was insane. She had cameras all over the house, and I could only eat half a banana a day. If
Oh
she
my
saw
God.
me eating anything else that wasn't what I was supposed to eat, which was a little bit of rice, and I had to cook for them and clean for them and just eat the leftovers. And I was like, this is not how it was supposed to go, guys. What is going on? And so one time I had finished cleaning up everything and I was just ready to eat the leftovers. They would leave me leftovers. And she saw that I had a big piece of fish that they left. And so she saw through the cameras and she ran downstairs and she said, I didn't have enough. And she grabbed from my plate and she bite it. And I was like, this is it. I was poor in Brazil, but at least I wasn't suffering this much. So I told my husband at the time, I told him, hey, look, it was nice meeting you, buddy, but I can't live like this. And so basically, he drove 5 hours and we ran in the middle of the night. And that's how we got married. He rescued
Wow.
me. No, this
Wow. What a
crazy.
what a wild ride.
Oh
You
God.
know, but
Yeah.
I have to say one thing. I believe so many things that happen in life,
Yeah.
although we don't see them as stepping stones when we
Yes.
go through them,
Yeah.
but looking back, it everything makes sense, right?
It does
Now
make
it all
sense.
makes sense why you
Yeah.
had to go from one thing to the other, to the other,
Exactly.
to the other.
Yeah.
So, but I'm excited to hear the rest of the story. How
Yes.
did you got
Real
into
estate.
real estate?
Okay. So when I bought my house, my husband and I we bought our house together, and the realtor did a terrible job to us. He did just a very horrible job. As a matter of fact, my name wasn't even on the deed. He didn't put my name on the deed because I was a foreigner.
Wow.
So
Mm,
apparently, he told my husband that my name could not be on the deed, but it could be on the financing of the house. So I was
mm,
paying, but my name wasn't on the deed. So I was like, okay, I mean, this sounds weird. And that was 2016, and I was 24 years old. I was not dumb. I was never dumb. I couldn't speak English, but I knew some stuff. And so I was like, do all of realtors do this terrible job, especially to foreigners, right? Because he didn't
mm,
explain anything to me, it was everything through my husband. And I felt left out, even though I was paying half of the mortgage. And so I was just going along. So that was 2016, and I couldn't speak much English, but I knew that at some point in my life I wanted to help people, and I wanted to bring dignity to the process of home buying, because I didn't feel dignity when the man was dealing with
mm,
me. He did not do a good job at all. So that was 2016. It took me 3 years to be comfortable enough with English in order for me
mm,
to do the test, because I wanted to make sure that I knew all the contracts. I knew that I wasn't missing anything. So I did the TOEFL test. I studied English like For 3 years, I remember that I was working as the cleaning lady at the time, and I would wake up like 6 in the morning to study 1 hour before I go to work, just making sure that I could understand and give the best outcome for the people that I would serve. So I studied for 3 years, and then I finally took my real estate test in 2019, and I started serving especially the foreigner communities.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much great goes into that,
I know. Yeah.
and there is, Barbara, there is one thing that I hear, a common thing probably between immigrant entrepreneurs
Yeah.
when they come to the US, obviously, or go to a new country, leave their
Yeah.
home country, go to a new place.
Yeah.
They so much want to work whatever they have set in their mind
Yes.
that no matter what happens, there is nothing that can stop them.
Yes.
They
You
just
know,
go for it. They just
I
go
moved
for
from
it. And
Brazil, and I love Brazil. Brazil is beautiful. Okay,
right.
Brazil is amazing. Unfortunately, in Brazil, you work hard, you pay your taxes, you're honest. There is a slightly percent of chance that you're gonna make in life, especially if you come from humble beginnings, just like I did. There's a one
Mm,
percent chance that I will make it. Here, I worked
mm,
hard, I pay my taxes, I am honest. I'm gonna make it, and
right.
that's what makes me even achieve more and just help more people, because it is possible. Here is possible.
Mm,
Like it is
mm,
possible 100%. It's not gonna be,
mm,
easy. It's not gonna be a piece of cake, but it is possible, and it's just the land of opportunity. It truly is.
mm. It truly is. And,
Mm-hmm.
I get so upset when I hear people complaining about life in America and all these things. I'm like, guys, you have no idea what's going on outside of
Yeah.
this
I
country.
want to send them to the
Because,
sugar canes. I come from a very tiny town called
mm,
Macatuba, and around it is just sugar canes. And
mm,
most people there, they work for this factory where they hand cut the sugar cane. So send them there. Let's see what they think
mm,
about America when they're there. Like it's
right,
just hard work. Here, it truly
right.
is the land of opportunity, unfortunately, and people don't
Absolutely.
don't
And
know.
one thing I want to add to this is
Yeah.
we mention all these things to not
Mhm.
say, people in America are not no. We mention all of these things
Yes.
to make clear and put light on
Yeah.
what a great country this
It
is, and
is.
how many
Opportunities.
opportunities you have in this country.
It's amazing.
That's the
It's
only
just
reason. That's the only
yes,
reason I'm
the
saying
only
this.
reason. Of course, there are Americans that work hard. I have many friends that are hard workers, but when people say things to me about um that there's no opportunity here,
Mm,
I get upset too, because
right.
we see where we're from that there are not many opportunities, and here you can choose. You can choose what do you want to do, really. What do you like doing that you want to do? What do you do best? Guess what? Here you
Mm.
can make money doing it.
Right, right. So good. So I have a couple of questions. Now let's dive into your real estate
Let's go.
professional.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
Couple of questions because I also know that it's going to benefit a lot of people.
Yeah.
These things that this information
Yeah.
that you're going to share. So we get to hear a lot of information, advice, whatever we want to call it. Hey, you should not buy a house when interest rates are high, and you should wait till interest rates go down.
Right.
And you obviously have a different perspective on that.
Okay.
Tell
I
us more
do.
about that.
I do have a totally different perspective. Um, when people say that the interest rates will go down, people are expecting it to be like 2021 and 2022, 2020, after the pandemic, where interest rates were like almost 2%. That is not going to happen. We know if you just have a little bit of knowledge about economics, you know that it's not going to drop for the 2 and the 3% interest rates. So starting there is not going to go back to that. We don't know when it's going to go back to that, if you ever go back to that. Also, real estate, every day that you don't buy a house, the house is getting more and more expensive for you to buy when you think is the right time to buy. The right time to buy is now, of course, if you can afford. Of course, if you're not going to be starving to death to make your
Mm,
mortgage payment. But you don't need to buy your first house a mansion. You don't need to buy a
Mhm.
$600,000 house just because you think it's beautiful. You can start small. You can start even in a manufactured home that is on a permanent foundation. The house will increase value over time. So there are many ways that you can manage not paying rent and investing in your home and your house in a way that is not going to hurt you and is not going to make you hate having a house. That's what I think.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. So, on one of your videos that you shared on your Instagram page, you were discussing about, when obviously when the interest rate go down,
Mm-hmm.
then the prices are going up,
Yes,
because that's what it does,
with
right? The cycle.
demand. Yeah,
It's been always like that.
right.
So tell us more about that. And if you, let's say, we see interest rates drop maybe another 0.5 or even
Mm-hmm.
1%,
Mm-hmm.
how much correlation is between that and price of the real estate
Okay.
increasing?
So right now there is a pool of buyers. There are many buyers out there. They're just waiting for the interest rates to drop. Okay. So they can feel comfortable making a mortgage payment per month. Once that happens, this amount of buyers, they're all gonna go see houses and make offers towards these houses, and the demand is gonna
Mm,
again be a seller's market instead of a buyer's market. Right now it's a buyer's market. Most markets at the moment, because the buyers have the choice to buy, they have the choice of negotiation. So how I see is once the interest rates drop a little bit, more buyers will look for houses because they're waiting. There are many people waiting. I have buyers waiting and they don't listen to me, but it's okay. I can work with them later. It's no problem. It's their
mm,
decision. So I know by experience that I have at least at this time 20 buyers waiting to purchase a house at the
mm,
moment. So me, one person have 20 buyers is not a lot, but how many realtors do we have in the United States? Just in Knoxville, where I am from, there are around 5,000 realtors. So, do the
wow.
math. Imagine if every single realtor has 20 buyers waiting. So the price will go up only because it will become a seller's market where the sellers now get to choose the buyer that will buy their house by the price. Whoever pays
Mm,
more gets the house. The better negotiation in the contract, no contingencies, more earnest money. The better the offer, this buyer is going to get the house, unfortunately. And most of the times it comes to purchase price. So,
I see.
mhm.
For someone who is a first-time home buyer
Okay.
here in the US,
Yeah.
does it make sense for them to go and get qualified and see how much buying power and how much purchasing power they have? Or do you recommend waiting till they have found the right property and then go through the qualification,
I never
basically the
recommend
loan
them.
code?
Yeah. I never recommend them waiting until the last minute only because some buyers, I had this experience before. I had a buyer before all these agreements came and we have to sign a buyer's agreement before we show a house. This was 2020, right after the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, right in between the pandemic, while it was happening. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember this buyer, she saw the house and she was like, I am in love. This is the house I want. And I was like, okay, where's your pre-qualification? Let's work. She didn't have a pre-qualification. She didn't have her taxes. She didn't even know that she needed her taxes done in order to get a pre-qualification. So she lost the house. And because she was so in love with the house that she saw online, and then we did go see the property and it was beautiful. It took us, I think, maybe 30 properties for her to be happy with one. And it still wasn't her. She was happy, but it wasn't the one that she saw. So she lost her dream house because she wasn't prepared to get, to make an offer at that moment because the market was very hot and we had to make an offer there. Like I used to bring my computer with me and just write the offer right there. I'm sending you an offer. Like crazy like that. Those are the times. I am not sure if it's gonna be that crazy when the interest rates drop, but I know that I would advise people to get prepared before they see the dream house. So I would advise people to at least see how much you qualified for. Some lenders will tell you, look, if you pay this credit card bill, this is how much you can afford. This is how much less you're gonna pay per month. So I always advise people to go and get prepared just so they can have so they are aware of what they can afford and not afford.
Right. Right. So what is the process usually if somebody wants to get pre-qualified and see how much their purchasing power is? Do they go
Okay.
to a loan broker, or can you explain that?
Yes. So if someone wants to buy a house, usually if they talk to a realtor, the realtor will explain to them that unless they have cash, they need to go through a mortgage broker, or even if they have a bank account, they go to that bank and ask for financing. It doesn't matter if it is the bank or a mortgage broker, they always need the taxes from 2 years. They need to have a social security number or a IT number. I'm not gonna get into the credit score part because it depends on the
Hmm.
loan. What else do they need? Oh my god, I had brain fog. Okay, so they need taxes, they need IT number or social security number, and of course they need a little bit of savings, so for down payment and closing costs, which most of the times we can ask the seller to pay for those things. But usually if you're looking at a house, you know how much you have to have saved for down payment and closing costs. This is from 3% of the price of the house, 3% to 6% of that price.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So, and then there are a few different, I'm from Switzerland.
Yeah.
Getting all these kind of different loans is very
Yes.
new to me.
Yeah.
And here you have a couple of loans.
Yes.
You have conventional loan, you have FHA
Yes.
loan, and then you have other creative ways of financing, which is
Yes.
maybe a little more for advanced investors like
Yes.
seller financing and all
Yes.
these things.
Yeah.
Can you talk us through? Let's get the easiest one for a first-time home buyer.
Okay.
What is a FHA loan and how do people qualify for it?
The difference in between a conventional loan and an FHA loan, most of the times a conventional loan is the better choice for the buyer, only because the interest rates will be a little bit lower on their payment per month. But most of the times, people don't qualify for a conventional loan because their credit score is not good, or because they don't have at least 5% to give as down payment.
Mhm.
FHA allows buyers to put 3.5% of the purchase price of the house, and of course they have to pay for the closing costs, but most of the times we can negotiate with the seller and they don't have to pay the full amount of closing costs. So FHA loan is usually for first-time home buyers a good option because it takes them out of renting a house. So it's always
Right.
better to own your house other than rent a house, even if your mortgage payment's gonna be um a little bit more expensive than a conventional loan.
I see.
Mhm.
And who is gonna tell you, let's say I'm a first-time home buyer and I'm in the process of getting qualified. Who is gonna tell me what I qualify for? Either is it conventional loan or FHA loan? Who is gonna tell me that?
That is not going to be a realtor. Most of the time, realtors work with lenders. I have a
Hmm.
lot of lenders that I work with, so I send always to the buyers 3 lenders so they can choose, or they can get pre-qualification from all of them, because it is important to shop around. There is a little slight difference, but $50 a month, it's a big difference for some people. For me, it is 50
Hmm.
bucks. So,
Right.
who is gonna tell you how much you can qualify either for FHA loan or a conventional loan? How would it work per month? Is your mortgage broker, lender, and of course you can go through your bank. They always have a lender there as well. So it's gonna be the lender, the person that you get in your pre-qualification from. They can explain everything to you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do you also work with real estate investors,
I
or is it
do.
only home buyers? You do?
No, I work with a lot of real estate investors. I work with this awesome real estate investor that he was my first client 5 years ago.
Hmm.
I made
Wow.
$300 on that sale, and I was just jumping up and down. Yeah, I made it. And he was my first client. I was his first realtor, and we've been working together ever since, and it has been a
Wow.
blessing. They're also from
Good.
Brazil. They're really good people. They became my
Mm.
friends. I'm very grateful. It's just, it's very nice.
Long-lasting
Yeah,
relationships. That's awesome.
yeah.
So, and can you take us through the seller financing? Because many
Okay.
people hear seller financing and then they're like, yeah, but that doesn't work, That's not
Well,
the reality. Tell us
I
about
don't
that.
have a lot of experience with seller financing only because most sellers that I work with, they don't want to have the headache
Mm-hmm.
of financing a house for the buyer because it's very risky for both the seller and the buyer. Um, I'm not saying that is not a good option. For some people, it might be a good option, but since I don't have a lot of experience with it, I don't feel comfortable telling people how to do it. I know that you need to really read the paperwork and you really need a person who knows contracts to tell you if you're getting a good deal or not a good deal because there are lots of in between the lines that some people don't understand when it comes to contract. So I would say get at least a title company getting just a very look at this contract. If you can afford a lawyer, of course, I always advise a lawyer, real estate lawyer would be good. But I know that some people that try to go through the seller finances because they don't want to go through conventional finance and everything because they cannot afford it. So I would
Right.
tell people ask for help. Go through a title company, ask them to read. Most of the time, they don't charge a lot of money to just do this
Mm-hmm.
consulting to people because their lawyers are there and they just need to read the paperwork and tell them what it is. So I would advise people to ask someone else to explain to them what they're signing because after they sign, it's a bigger headache for them
Mm.
to go back and be like, oh, but the seller didn't tell me this, but you signed it. There's your
Right.
signature. So I would tell people to just be very careful and just don't trust a seller that you see on Facebook Market. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
his intentions.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know if it is his house. So it's important to go to a lawyer, to a title company, to see if it is his house, to see if you're doing the right thing, to see if you're not being taken advantage of. I think this awareness is very, very, it's crucial.
Absolutely, and very important. And one thing I always tell people is, hey, you will have to invest the money anyways. You will
Yes,
have to spend the money anyways. Either you spend a fraction of it up front and get advice and get legal advice, or you will have to spend a multiple of that sometimes down the road
yes,
later because they make you pay for it.
yes,
If you have it or you don't have it, they
yes,
make you pay for it. So
exactly.
better to get legal advice and the professional
Yes,
expertise from someone who can guide you through the process.
I totally
Awesome.
agree. Yes.
So and another thing that you say on one of the videos I was watching is buy your first home,
Mm-hmm.
live in it, and then at some point rent it out, and then buy your second home and just repeat the process.
Yes. And
Tell
then you
us
become a
tell us more
millionaire.
about that.
And then you become rich. And then the American dream is done. It's not that easy. No, but it is because I'm not a tax professional, but when you live in your home for 2 years, you have this very big tax cut if you want to
Mhm,
sell it or rent it out. So there are ways that you can save money just buying your first home that is not your dream home. Okay, so you buy your first home, it's not your dream home. It's okay, it's a home. You live on it 2 years. By the time that the 2 years pass, there is a very big possibility that the price of your home went up and the rent for someone renting that type of a house is going to pretty much pay for your mortgage. So
mhm,
your mortgage payment is going to be paid by the person who is renting that house. Most of the times is even more than your mortgage
Hmm.
payment is. So you can invest the money, buy your second house, do the same, do the same, do the same, and then you're 60. Guess what? You're rich.
Hmm. Awesome. And as you said, we're not giving legal advice or
No,
whatsoever on this show. It's just a conversation between two immigrants who don't know what they're talking about.
please
Okay,
don't sue
so
us. Don't cancel us, please. Please.
exactly. So, Barbara, one more thing that I have also been listening to, and I like this to keep this information for myself, is okay, when you do exactly what you said, also keep in mind that you cannot, let's say you have equity in the first house
Mhm.
and now you want to cash out or refinance. Keep in mind that you also need reserves for what
Right.
the unforeseen.
And
Repairs might come up, something
yeah,
might happen that you haven't thought
right.
about it. So if you're
And
fully cashed out,
yeah,
then things might get a little
exactly.
tough. Yes,
And
please.
keep in mind that it's not every single loan, it's not every single house that is gonna let you do that. So
Hmm.
again, legal advice. Ask people for help. Ask people to tell you what you're supposed to do, because some loans, some neighborhoods, some type of things there might not allow you to rent the house, because maybe in your loan is saying that you're gonna live there forever, so you cannot rent. Maybe in your
Hmm.
HOA community saying that you cannot rent. So those types of videos that I make are possibilities, right? And I do
Right.
put disclaimers there.
Right.
Not every single thing works for everybody, but sometimes we need to be very clear that people again need to read through the lines and ask for help and just understand what they're assigning. And it comes back to people understanding what they're assigning. So they need help understanding contracts. They need
Hmm.
help just being aware, because when you sign something, it's there, it's your signature, it's your responsibility. So I always advise people to just make sure that you know what you're doing when you're signing a
Hmm.
contract, because as you said, this is going to be a headache if you just didn't understand. And when I talk to my buyers in special, I ask them maybe 10 times, do you have any questions? Do you understand
Hmm.
this? Do you need me to
Right.
explain again? And even if they say no, I explain 3 times in different words,
Hmm.
just so
Hmm.
they understand what I'm saying. Because um I, as a foreigner, when I moved here, I don't know if you had this, I was so afraid of speaking broken English that I didn't ask
Right.
questions. And now I'm like, I don't
Right.
care if I speak broken English or not. I'm here, I'm making sales, I'm here, I'm
Absolutely.
living the American dream. So when people don't ask me
Right.
questions, I explain again and again and again, and they're like, okay, okay. So I have one question maybe, and I'm like,
Awesome. Awesome. So one thing that interests me myself
mhm.
is, do agents come across distressed properties that there is some room for improvement for a real estate investor to make money before these properties hit the market, like off market properties that have room for improvement for a real estate investor?
Okay, so in my case, I work with this amazing investor who he does not buy the lots from me. He buys the lots himself, and then I sell the properties. So I don't even have access to those lots. So those
Gotcha.
properties, I don't have access to that. I know that some realtors do. I know a lot of realtors that do this type of sale, like off market.
Hmm.
But myself, I don't. I just go on what it is on the markets, and I go from there, just because I'm trying to focus more on these investors, because they are a very big part of my paycheck, so I need to make them happy.
Hmm.
So I focus a lot on the sale process for them, other than trying to find them good deals. They do that
Hmm.
themselves. I don't get any of that, and I'm happy with that. I'm just
Hmm.
happy selling it.
Right. And is there anything that you're specialized in, like single family homes, multifamily homes, or you do everything?
I do everything. Just, do you wanna buy something with me? Do you wanna buy something, Knox? Let's buy something. I'll sell you something. No, I do
Okay.
everything. I do commercial. I do
Okay.
residential. I From the past 2 years, there was something. I don't know if you believe in manifestation. I do. I manifested so
I
much
do
in my
100.
life.
Oh, 100% I do.
So imagine this. I came here with $300 that was supposed to be 200. And then last year I sold my first multi-million dollar property. And that was enough money to retire my mom. So my mom in Brazil
Wow.
doesn't have to work anymore because of that. So whatever you need, I'll sell it to you. You know, my family will
Wow.
be grateful forever, right? I brought my brother to Disney with that money. So
Wow.
everything's good. So I have of course I don't do rent. I
Hmm.
don't do residential rent, but all the other real estate needs, if you guys are listening to me, I can sell you anything. Just throw it at me.
Hmm.
Yes.
Just give her a call. Just
Yeah,
reach
give
out.
me a call.
And she
Email.
does speak Portuguese, Spanish, and English, right?
A little bit of Italian, just a little bit, just a touch.
Here we
Not
go.
much.
Here we go. So I would like to follow up on the manifestation
Yes.
part. How much has happened in your life through manifestation? Not necessarily happened through manifestation, but how much have you manifested and then things happen as you manifested them
So
one day
listen, when I
before?
was 14 years old, I was living in this small town in Brazil, and we were just so poor. It's a poor community. 70% of the people that live there are just in extreme poverty. As I told you, I was never hungry, thank God, because my dad worked hard and my mom worked hard also. But my clothes
Hmm.
are donations. My parents didn't have money to buy me notebooks. So I used to write very teeny tiny on my notebook, saving paper because they couldn't afford it, right? So that was me, 14 years old, me doing those things. And I was 100% sure that I would move to America and I would be successful. 14 years old
Hmm.
me telling my friends, 14-year-old kids, hey, I am 100% sure that I'm going to go to America and I'm going to be successful. And they're like, you're totally delusional. You lost it.
Hmm.
You're insane. You don't know what you're
Hmm.
talking about. Most of those people were already working hard. Most of them were working as butchers.
Hmm.
There were girls that were pregnant. There were girls that were married to older men. So it was just a very people couldn't even think about that. But I
Hmm.
knew when I was 14 that I would make it. And again, for some people, it sounded crazy. But I knew, and I manifested it 7 years later. I moved here when I was 21. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I guess it was meant to be. So I manifested that. I also manifested my first multi-million dollar property, and I used to visualize what I would do when I got the money. And what I would do is I would call my mom and I would tell her, you don't have to work anymore. And that's what I
Wow.
did. And I sent her the
Hmm.
money, and it was just like I can breathe, like thank
Hmm.
God. So I manifested that. Sometimes I manifest selling a property that isn't selling. I just sit there and I
Hmm.
see myself just like, oh my God, so good, feels so good spending. Thank God. I look and I visualize that it's sold. I visualize myself picking up the sign. So I am a big person on visualization, and
Hmm.
I truly believe that we have that power. Not to manifest
Hmm.
everything like, oh my God, I would love a Ferrari right now here in front of my office. It doesn't work
Right.
like that, but with hard work, actions,
Hmm.
and of course, setting up, aligning everything, I truly believe that it happens. And it has happened to me
Absolutely.
before. So,
And I would like to double down on what you just said,
mm-hmm.
action, taking
Yes,
massive action. Because some people think like, oh, I manifested this and that, but nothing happened. Yeah, how much action do you take towards achieving this goal?
exactly. Yeah,
None. Okay, it's not going to happen, my friend.
no,
If you just sit under a tree and meditate and manifest all day, nothing is going to change for you.
exactly.
You need to take action on
Yeah,
the things that you want to achieve.
yeah, still need
Agree?
to. I totally agree. Yes, I take so much
Okay.
action. Yes, I'm risky. I don't care. I'm just like, okay, I already
Right.
have the no. Let me get the yes. Let's do it.
Right. Right. And I also believe that when some people call it luck, some people, I don't believe in luck. I believe in you have to position yourself for luck. You
Yes,
know,
yes,
if you're again, if you're sitting in your room or your home or your apartment and you're thinking about the things that are happening out there or could happen to you, you're not getting out there. Nothing is going to happen, my
nothing is
friends.
gonna happen.
Nothing is going to change. You
No,
have to get out there and
yes,
position yourself for luck, and then
ex-
things might happen and you're like,
exactly.
oh, I was at there. I was positioning myself for that.
I totally agree. That is 100% true. Yeah. I have that book. I don't know if you ever read the book Ask and It's Given. Have you ever read it?
No, I haven't.
It's
No.
beautiful. You should
Okay.
either listen to it or read it. And it's a very good book. But they also talk about action. They talk about it is how to manifest, but you have to take some action. God, the universe, whatever you believe in, is not just gonna do that for you, because he needs to see that you're serious enough, you want that enough, that you take some action. So that is a really good book.
Just made a note. Just made a note. Ask and it's given.
Yes, it's a really good book.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you were watching in the 90s. You were watching Hollywood movies.
I'm watching Home Alone.
How much did you manifest it coming to the US when
Oh
you were
my God.
watching these movies?
You won't believe it. Okay, so I remember, so in Brazil it doesn't get that cold, but when it gets cold, it gets so cold, and we have no heater, we have nothing, right? So I
Wow.
remember me thinking, imagine that you have it's snowing outside, but inside is warm, and you get to take a bath, and it's warm water, and the room is not freezing. So I was just so I couldn't even comprehend. First of all, hot water in the sinks. We don't have that. So imagine just like it's cold, it's a cold day and there's hot water in the sink. You get to do dishes with hot water. My mom used to boil the water to do dishes, So
Oh,
that. And then just dishwasher. I have a love for dishwashers because for so long I had to do so many dishes.
right.
My poor mom, so many dishes. She was a cleaning lady, and she always cooked for us, and she always had to do so many dishes, and sometimes in the cold she had to boil water in order to do dishes. So I manifested. I have an awesome dishwasher. If you need a recommendation of a dishwasher, I love my dishwasher. I manifested it. Um,
Uh-huh.
a washer and dryer. I mean, that is such a luxury in Brazil, because in Brazil we wash our clothes by hand, and then we hang them, and then we let them air dry. And here it's just I get to wash this dress if I want in 30 minutes. Oh, I'm so
You're good.
sorry.
Yeah, you were telling us about the dishwasher and the dryer and the washing machine and
Well,
everything.
I just love, if I want to wash this dress in 30 minutes, I can put in the washer, and then the washer wash it, and then I put in the dryer in 15 minutes. I'm done. In Brazil, it would take me 2 days to wear the same dress.
Wow.
Okay, especially if it was a rainy season, the clothes don't dry. So it's just such a luxury, little things. And I remember watching Home Alone and being like, how do they live? I wonder what they do on their free time in America. What a luxury to just be there and just have a dryer. So my first time using a dishwasher, I couldn't believe it. I was so happy doing it. And it was an au pair in California. And I remember using it, and I was like, yes, I made it. Finally made it. So
Finally, I'm washing my dishes in a
yeah,
dishwasher.
yeah, it's great.
Love that.
Little
Love that.
things.
And I also love that, it really touched my heart when you said, "Hey, I retired my mom with making this money from the commission of the sale." So that means also you're not only getting the benefits from coming here, but you're also having an impact. Obviously, this is your mom, but
Yeah.
sharing this story with people that are going to listen to this, and it is so raw and real. Your story. You came here with $300. I mean, how much more difficult than that can it get, right?
Not much more. I can't tell you, it cannot get much more difficult other than
Right.
that. But, I mean, I truly believe in God, and I truly believe that whatever you believe in, the universe, God, doesn't matter. I truly believe that He was telling me that I should do it, and I followed my gut. And when I moved here with $300, even though I passed through so much on those host families, I had this feeling inside of me that, calm down, this is not it. You're gonna make it. At some point, this is gonna get better. And that's what I kept holding on to. And when I retired my mom, I was like, if I die today, I'm happy. This is good. My mission here is good. I am complete, because my mom worked so hard and she went through so much to just, mom, right? I mean, all moms love their kids, and my mom is just an exceptional person. She just had a lot of suffering. If I were poor growing up, I don't even know what she was growing up, because she grew up in a farm, pretty much in a slavery section. It was just, very sad. So when I could do that for her, I couldn't believe it. So my brother was here when that happened. I brought my brother
Mm,
here to go to Disney. And I had that feeling that I was dreaming. And I was like, Andre, my brother's
mm,
name is Andre. Can you tell me that I'm not dreaming? Because it felt like it. I worked
mm,
so hard for it, and I did visualize it for so long that when it happened, I was like, is it true? Is it really true?
mm,
But it was real, and I had to keep telling myself that it is real. You did it. It's good. Your mom is good. It's
mm.
safe. All is well. So it was it was a beautiful moment. It was almost a year ago today. It was November 11th that happened, and it was
Wow.
just like the best day of my life.
Mm. So beautiful. Thanks for sharing
Yeah,
that.
of course.
So, Barbara, before we get to the wrapping up of the
Yeah.
conversation, and by the way, please don't leave. Once we
Okay.
end the conversation, I
Okay.
need to talk to you for a few
Okay.
seconds. So, what is your advice for someone who is listening to this and they're like, "Oh, amazing story, Barbara! You just went for it. You made it." But hey, my situation is difficult. You don't know. I'm going through this, that. What is your advice for someone like that?
I would tell people that nothing is forever. So your situation is what it is right now, but it can get better. It will get better if you take the action to get better, if you have a positive mindset that will get better. Because I know sometimes when you're going through it, you don't have a positive mindset. But if you don't have a positive mindset, it's just going to get worse. So I would advise
Mm,
these people to maybe just visualization helped me so much. And I know it's a cliche. I know a lot of people talk about visualization, but it truly helped me. So maybe just breathing in and out and visualizing yourself after this is done, just visualizing yourself in a better situation, I think it can bring you peace, and it gives you time to breathe, just to understand what action, what steps you need to take in order to get out of that situation. So I just think that breathing in and out and just visualizing, believing that it can get better, because it can get better. It can always get better.
mm,
I am living proof that it can get better. And so I truly believe that just believing in yourself, and of course taking the right steps and actions, but just believing that it can get better, and
mm.
having a positive mindset.
Thank you.
Mm,
Thank you for that.
of course.
Barbara, I'm going to ask you a question which I asked you before I started recording the show.
Yeah.
I asked you, and I want you to share that with our audience, and I'm going to tell you why I want you to share that.
Yeah.
I asked you how you found out about the show and then reach out to me
Yes.
to come as a guest on the show. Please tell us how
Yeah.
you found out.
So I am someone who loves inspiring stories, and I love foreigners that made it. Okay, because I am a foreigner and I made it, but I'm trying to make it even more. So I need inspiration, and I put on ChatGPT. Please give me a list of books, podcasts that I can listen to, that it can inspire me, and it gave me your podcast, and I was like, "Ooh, this is good. This is great." So that's how I found out about you and your
Thank you.
podcast.
Thank you. And here you are as a guest listening to, and many people are going to listen
Yeah.
to your story. And this is what I wanted to emphasize. You know, once you're on the other side, you're listening, and now you're here
Yes.
within a few days, few weeks.
Yeah.
On the other side, now you're speaking and inspiring so many other people, and that is what I truly believe life is about.
Yes.
We are here to make this place better than we found it and
Yeah.
have an impact, and that's the only reason I'm doing this, and to have an impact on other people.
You're doing
So,
a
Barbara,
wonderful job. You're doing great.
thank you
You're
so
doing
much.
really well.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much for coming on the show and contributing to that.
of
Before I
course.
let you go, please tell us where people can find you. We will definitely link you up in the show notes, but tell them where they can find you.
Okay, so my Instagram is Realtor Barbara Curran, and my email address, if you want to email, is realestatebyBarbaraC@gmail.com, and you can find me there. You can DM me if you need any advice. I can give you advice. If I don't know what you need, I'll try finding an answer for you. But if it doesn't need to be about real estate, if you just need an inspiring something, I help people all the time with mindset, and I think it's important to just trying vibrating higher than what the reality of the world is. Because if you look at the negative, if you look at everything that is going on in the world, it's gonna bring you down. So I just try to bring a little bit of lightness and tell people good things about them and just give them some advice if I can. If I cannot, I won't. But I try to just make people laugh and give them just a little bit of lightness.
Awesome. Barbara, again, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on the show, and much success to you.
Thank you so
And I
much.
hope everything you manifest in your life is going to become your
Very
reality.
grateful to be
Thank you so
here.
much.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.